Hi guys, today's video is going to be quick. I promised you guys some information on how to cleanse crystals. Today I'm not going to go into all of the different techniques. I'm just going to give you one really simple tip. It does require a little bit of work, but I do believe that it's one of the most powerful ways to keep your crystals cleansed, and that's to simply keep your space cleansed. So your house is like it's like a temple. You live in it and you meditate in your house. It's like it's sacred. It's considered sacred space in a sense. Like when I'm about to go and do my embodiment practice, so I spent the whole morning and part of the afternoon cleaning my entire house. And this week, in building up to this practice I'm about to go do, because I don't always have time to do it intensely during the week because of work and chores, cooking for nutritional balancing and all of that stuff, coffee enemas, and so I don't always have time to go deep into my practice, and usually on the weekends I like to save like a 2-hour time slot either on the Saturday or Sunday where I can go really deep into my practice, and that's where I yield the best results. And so I spent the whole morning and part of the afternoon cleaning my house and building up to this week. What I did during the week, a couple of 15-20 minutes here and there during the week when I had time, I went through all of my clothes in my bedroom, because my bedroom is where I perform, that's where I go into practice, that's where I meditate, that's where I do the pushing down exercise. It's considered my sacred space. I also have an altar in my bedroom. I have a couple of altars throughout my house. Actually, speaking of altars, I just bought myself, I actually went to a home decor store and made this gorgeous floral arrangement for myself. They're not real flowers, but they look like it looks amazing. And I know I'm veering off on a tangent here, but I know when we go, when we start cultivating a spiritual practice and we start awakening, and some of us that are on a nutritional balancing program, a lot of times we feel a little bit guilty when we spend our money on stuff like that. It's decoration, but for me, it's bringing so much value to my space, getting back to our home. It's like our temple. I wanted to bring the essence of flowers into my home, and this is one way of doing it. So I put together this nice little bouquet here. It makes a beautiful backdrop for the video, but sometimes it's like we feel so guilty because I could have spent my money on food or supplements or whatever it may be, or some sort of device that'll improve my health somehow. But this is absolutely amazing, just bringing in that essence into your home. And for me, there was more value in doing something like this versus buying another bottle of powdered bone broth or something, so yeah, it's just to touch on the importance of making your home into almost like your temple. And so yeah, going back to my story, I spent every day I spent a little bit of time going through all of my clothes, and I'm donating this huge bin of clothes. So it's my way of giving to the poor, of giving to the community, so that way I can receive, the giving and the receiving. And I love to keep my bedroom clean. What I mean by that is energetically clean. So I keep it decluttered. I only have minimal items in my bedroom, only items that are of value to me, like this would be one item that I hold value, that I feel like brings value to my home, to my space. So I have an altar space where I've got a bunch of little trinkets and crystals and a nice little abalone shell with some Palo Santo. So I love to keep my bedroom cleansed at all times. So that way, going back to the crystals, when you keep your house energetically cleared, energetically cleansed, and there are several ways of doing that. Maybe I can touch on a few after, but when you keep your house cleansed, you don't have to physically like cleanse your crystals as often, right? So because when you start working with crystals, it's like you feel like you need to cleanse your crystals every time you work with them, and it's like when you cleanse a crystal, it's almost like you have to make it like a sacred ceremony, like a ritual. You have to have a lot of love and intention and light behind the act of cleansing crystals, and that in itself can take a lot of time. It's very time consuming. So the backdoor approach here, when you keep your home, when you keep your house cleansed, you don't have to, for me, I feel like I don't have to cleanse my crystals as often. So that's one way that's my approach to working with crystals in my home. So for instance, I work at home, so let's say I had a very stressful week at work, right? Not that I do. I have a really good relationship to my job at the moment. It's going very well, although it's not my, my purpose in life to be a mining technologist, but it is bringing me, solid income, and I can do it from home while I'm healing. So it's working for me at the moment, and I'm very, very, very grateful for it. And I wasn't always grateful for it, but now I'm totally at peace with everything around my job, and I know that one day that'll change, as in I won't need to do that type of work. I'll be able to move into something that's more aligned with my my soul, my purpose here on earth. But going back to my job, so let's say I had a very stressful week at work, and because my work is in my house, I don't want to carry that stressful energetic on the weekend when I'm going into my practice, right? So it's very important that I clear those jujus, whatever you want to call them, from my house, so that I can go into practice in a very safe container. It's very hard to explain, but yeah. So a few things that I like to do is, number one, declutter. I donate. Very often I'll go through my stuff. If I don't use it, if it no longer resonates with me, I donate it. I get rid of stuff. Again, going back to when you give, you're opening yourself up to receiving as well. So decluttering, keeping your house clean, like it's simple, dusting and vacuuming, maybe once a week or so. And I love opening my windows in the summertime so that I can get that stagnant air out and fresh air in. It works well for my situation because I don't live in a city, so I have it's a pristine area. There's no industries or there's not much in terms of pollution here where I live, so I can do that. I bring in that clean air from outside and remove that stagnant air from indoors out. And in the winter time, I have I call it a Venmar, but I think technically it's an air-to-air exchanger or a heat exchanger. So in the winter time, I can still do that without opening the windows, I can still bring in outdoor air and it gets heated before it gets, you know, thrown into indoors because we get the -30 Celsius in the wintertime here in Northern Ontario, Canada. So we can't open windows in the wintertime. So I have one of those Venmars which helps to circulate, and for me it really cleanses my space when I do that. So I run the Venmar every other day. I'll run it for, you know, several hours just to change up the air in my house. So that's one way that that's one technique that I use to keep the place cleansed. Once in a while, I will cleanse the house using something like, I love Palo Santo, although I don't use it very often because apparently that type of tree is endangered, and because I hate to kind of say it, but spirituality and crystals and all of that stuff, witchcraft, and you know, all of that stuff is kind of trendy nowadays, which is, I mean, it's not a bad thing, but people are definitely buying a lot of this stuff, and yeah, so I'm just very cautious there. I only use it once in a while, and it's usually like a very special time, like I make it like a cleansing, you know, ritual or ceremony, like a sacred ceremony, and I will cleanse my house using Palo Santo. I have some sage as well. I love diffusing essential oils. I think Dr. Wilson doesn't recommend using essential oils, definitely not internally, which I agree there, and very limited, like limit using essential oils on your skin because you are absorbing it through your skin when you do that. But I do love aromatherapy, but again, I will not diffuse essential oils when my house is all messy. I find that it just defeats the purpose. So what I do is I declutter, I cleanse my house, I open up windows, and now it's like I feel like I've prepared my home so that I can diffuse the essential oils, and I absolutely love it. And yeah, so that's another way too of making your house, as more of a sacred container. And I will only diffuse essential oils before going into practice. So I have a diffuser in my bedroom. I open up the windows. I'll diffuse a little bit of frankincense or cedar wood, or a bit of lavender, and I'll do that and open up the windows, and it cleanses my space as well. And then I go into practice. Yeah, these are just so the intent of the video today is, again, to go back on the topic of crystals, and there are specific crystals too that are very good. They can help keep your house cleansed. For example, selenite being one of them. I've got a piece right here. I'm sure you've seen selenite before. This apparently is really good at keeping your house cleansed. Some people, this is kind of like a big wand, I guess, and some people will, walk around the house and kind of do a sweeping motion. And I actually have never done that, but some people do use crystals to cleanse their homes. And of course, you need to make sure that your crystals are, whatever crystals you're using to cleanse your house are cleansed. So, yeah, I'm trying to think of other things that I do to keep my house cleansed. Oh yes, sound. I actually prefer using sound over like essential oils and even burning sage and Palo Santo, because I do find that I can be a little bit sensitive if the fragrance is too strong. So sound is another great way to keep your space cleansed. So I will literally walk around my house and kind of target the corners, the little cubby like spaces, closets, where stagnant energy tends to accumulate. And I will make my bowl sing, and you know, I hold very high vibe intentions of, you know, cleansing the space. You can use visualization techniques there as well. And I will stay in one spot until I intuitively feel like it's cleansed. So today, yes, was just about the importance of keeping your space cleansed, and how that in turn will help keep your crystals cleansed as well. So that when you go work with your crystals, you don't necessarily have to cleanse them each time, because like I said, that can be very time consuming. So by keeping your entire temple cleansed, your crystals will stay cleansed longer as well. So that was just my tip for today, and I hope everybody is doing well. And fall is here. We're starting to get the cooler weather, which is nice. I'm looking forward to it. I'm already starting to go inwards a little bit more, and I'm nesting a little bit more. The reason, you know, that's why I went through all of my clothes, and I'm donating stuff, you know, cleansing, cleaning the house so that I can, you know, stay indoors this winter and go inwards, that's typically what I do in the winter. I kind of go with the flow with the seasons. So I'm already feeling it, and I'm excited. I'm ready for winter. It sounds a little bit funny. I used to hate winter before, but now I totally embrace it. I love it. It's my time to go inwards, and I get to do more coffee enemas and more saunas and other things too during the winter, just because I give myself permission. It's almost like I give myself permission to rest in the winter, but my body intuitively wants to. Okay, so that's it for today. I hope you're all doing well, and yeah, that's it. Ciao for now. Bye.